Astro Open is brought to you by Astro, Monster Energy, Corsair, and Zowie.
Ladies and gentlemen, watching online and in our crowd here at day 3 of the DreamHack Astro Open in Tour. What time is it? It is grand final time. It's G2, it's HellRaisers. One of those teams is going to lift that trophy. We started with 8 and only 2 remain. The winner goes away with the lion's share of $100,000. So much to play for, so much on the line. I am Parla, also known as Mantruse, and I've been now at this point, we're almost over, your desk host for this event. And I've been joined this whole time by my wonderful friends, Jacob Pimp Vinake and Jonna Natu Lepinen on the end. We're here, we've made it.
We made it.
How are you guys feeling?
I think we're pretty good here. I mean, it's the finals time. I feel like it's really cool to have first of all a French team playing on French soil, get into the grand finals, and then playing the red hot HellRaisers, who are finally making it into a final of a tournament other than a winner.
Yeah, I'm just super excited that G2 made the final, and we heard in the semifinal how loud the crowd were, and I think it's going to be even crazier now in the final. So I'm looking so much forward to it.
And I think like the cool thing is that these teams share a lot of similarities when it comes to map pool. Not to go too far into it, but I'm just saying it really, like, I think it gives us an opportunity for a great grand final.
No doubt, and it's been a hard-fought battle for these teams. G2 got off to a very rocky start, losing to Tricked, a huge upset, and HellRaisers now have to show that they can take out a team who seemingly, at the moment in this competition, are on the rise. And it's not just any old team. G2 are the French super team. Pimp, tell me some more about that side.
Yeah, I think we mentioned it a few times, but G2 is basically supposed to be this new world dominant team. You know, they assembled the arguably 5 best players from France in each of their respective roles in this team. It's a huge organization, G2. They built something great up there. They have a lot of money. They have a lot of managers, a lot of staff behind them. They literally have created what is Counter-Strike's answer to a super team, you know, a dream team in France. So everything is set up to succeed for G2. It's down to the players now if they can make it.
No doubt. Let's take a look at the groups final time so that everybody can be caught up on what has happened so far. Na'Vi versus Misfits. Na'Vi, of course, coming out on top. They then lost to mousesports. mousesports beat Heroic, and we had an elimination match as well. And then, surprisingly, Misfits made it through to the semis after beating Na'Vi. That was Group A. Moving on to Group B, it all began with the upset we already talked about. Tricked G2, Tricked came out on top. Tricked then lost very closely to HellRaisers, who are, of course, now in our grand final. And they got into this position by beating HellRaisers and by beating Envious and then beating Tricked. And that meant 2 wins in a row, got them into the semis. And when they got into the semis, if we move on to the playoff bracket, we see that they beat Misfits. And that was our first semi-final of the day. And G2 and mousesports just played off against each other now, 2-1. Leading us into the position we are currently in. Oh, I really can't wait to see if Kenny S can continue the trajectory that he's been on at this event. He's been managing to find that form again, but everyone on that team has had a moment, I would feel. I feel each player has had a moment at this event.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a couple other players on that team that really have shown for me, Body and MBK especially. I think he's been phenomenal this tournament for the most of it. And, you know, it's been an uphill battle for them to start things out, but I think they've finally started to stabilize slightly going further down into the tournament.
We keep bringing him up, Natu and Pimp, but you know, that team is a superstar team, G2, But the guy who is kind of like the odd one out is Body, who's like the newest addition, or like, I mean, he's been playing with them for a while, but he's kind of like newer to the scene overall. He's been working his way up, and he got that chance, I think it was it late 2015 or early 2016, where he got on one of the better teams. And then, you know, he's just been stable. He comes, he does his job at these events, and he puts on performances that are often on par with these other superstars. So maybe it's like he is the hidden gem.
He was a star for LDLC. I think it was LDLC White in 2016. They won Aces ROG in the winter of 2016, and then eventually got the chance to go into G2, while Devil from that same lineup went into Envy. So they went into the best teams in their respective country. And then, I mean, I think he's just grown from that, being the superstar, kind of having to maybe settle into being a part of this kind of a lineup where he may not have as much room to play with. But I think he's embraced his role really well. And, you know, he does a solid job of playing solo positions a lot of the time. That's very, very pressured situation to be in. I think he's prevailed really well.
He's what G2 needs in order to succeed, basically. He's like you said, the hit.
Is he the glue?
He's the glue. He's the glue, because there was like rumors about either bringing in Scream, because then we could talk about a real super team, you know.
Too much of a super team.
Yeah, exactly. But but like Buddy is what they need. They need a player that is willing to accept that he's not the biggest guy on the team. You know, they need a player that is willing to accept to play some of the spots that are not the most liked and not the most popular. And as you've been saying, and Nats's been saying, and as we've seen this tournament, he's doing it superb so far.
I mean, we say that, but he does do some absolutely insane things. Like, for instance, when they were playing off against Mouse just then, that wallbang he seems to keep being able to do. He caught Chris J off with it on Cash. Like, the consistency, he'd done that like 3 times. He did it twice in one match, and now he's done it another time here. Like, things like that. He's got a bit of special spice to him, no?
It's called magic tricks.
It's called gimmicks, you know. He got it.
Talking about magic tricks, Tricked were the ones that really surprised G2 and took them out, well, beat them early in the competition. And that gets me slightly worried, because maybe G2 were overlooking that Danish squad. And as we referenced in the last segment of the show, Shock's being interviewed by James is like, I don't think we need to think too much about HellRaisers. We just want to feel like we're good at CS.
I think that's a
How far can that get you?
I think that's a good segue to talk about potentially Inferno being a weakness in G2. And if that's something that HellRaisers is going to pick up on, they played each other a couple of times. Actually, if you look at the record between these two lineups, it is right now 2-1 for HellRaisers. Obviously, the last LAN outing, it went to the way of G2 as style ladder, but still, twice online, HellRaisers managed to come out on top in the Pro League. And Inferno was in the pool, as was Overpass as well. So G2 will definitely still have Kings and Little Kirks to be working with. It's definitely not a process that is just anywhere near to its peak, but at the same time, you know, they're going to have to work for it. And teams like Trick are going to be able to surprise you here every now and again. And they showed, I think, down the tournament, if we talk about them a little bit, that they can hang with other teams as well. So I mean, it's definitely, you know, today's Counter-Strike landscape, these kind of things just happen.
Yeah, I think, as Shox mentioned in the interview, I think he's having the right approach. The whole G2 is having the right approach. We heard in one of the interviews before the semi-final that they haven't had the best practice leading up to this tournament. So going in and just like playing on the basics, playing on the strengths that you have, which is Kenny's, which is Shox, which is Apex, you know, the entry fracking. Play on that and don't overthink it, you know. I think that's the right approach for G2, considered they haven't had too much practice.
Yeah, I can hear them shouting over there now. It looks like, so by the way, we're backstage and we can see the guys getting ready to go out there on that. Right now, Smith is, of course, leading them. He is their coach, and I think that's maybe been a very useful part of this new setup that they have. He left the team, retired to a coaching role, and previously, these players, when they have played together before, they were often known at times, not of course they weren't characterized completely by this, but they were known at times to have a bit of a hot head. They didn't always get on, and maybe like glue like Body, maybe having Smith overlooking them and just generally fitting better together as people might be what brings them that real, I don't know, it might end up giving them the results that they are capable of.
I think there's definitely two sides of this coin. In one hand, he knows that all of that team really well, the individuals, you know, and he can easily like kind of detect problems and issues. But at the same time, if you're too much of a friend as a coach, that could be an issue as well, you know, when it comes to giving critique, you know, going over things, you know, what kind of an attitude do they have for you? But the good thing is they also have an analyst in the team. and they've told that he's very good at what he does as well. So I think that's a great combination to have. Have a hands-on coach who's overlooking things, who has a very obviously deep professional career in Counter-Strike, so he understands all the little things within the game, and then you'll have an analyst who understands like the tactical point of view, who can look at the big picture from behind, and then once those two collaborate, it should definitely be an improvement for this team.
The thing is, I feel like there is so much respect for Smith on this team. The guys, you know, in a way, they compete together for so long, and now he's leading them from behind and he's helping out with everything. And I think definitely your point is 100% correct. But when I see them walking around physically, they look like, you know, he's there part of the guys, and he's not jovial all the time, like joking around. He's like making sure that they are focused and ready to go. And I'm very interested to see in this final if it all comes together. Do you think that this puzzle is going to fit perfectly this time, or there needs to be some more work, more research?
I think time will tell. You know, I think they have the right approach. As I said before, like without too much practice, with limited practice, going in and just playing on your strengths, going in like without thinking too much about tactics, thinking too much about your opponent. That can really be useful when you are the more skilled players, basically. So I think.
We can hear them working the crowd so hard right now. I'm sure that they're giving high fives to everyone. So Pim, please continue.
Yeah, I just want to point out, you know, I really think G2 is getting there. As you said, like it's a process, and it's going to take a while before we see them on a major winning level team. But I think this will be a great step for them to get there.
Natu, any more thoughts on the matter? We do have a bit more time before we jump into this game.
I mean, what is there else? I don't know what else I can add to this, really. We've gone through it pretty well. I think we could maybe talk about HellRaisers a little bit, like at them and this matchup in general. I think it's an intriguing one. Like I alluded to a little bit previously, there's a lot of similarities in the maps these teams like to play, and maybe even stylistically, we've seen a lot of aggression from G2, especially in that game against Smallstores. We saw Kenny pushing really deep in cash, for example, at A main, all kinds of different stuff. And also, we've seen HellRaisers play surprisingly versatile way of Counter-Strike, especially on T side, because they used to be super one-dimensional, very hit and run, kind of pop flash, go through, running the bomb side type of a play. But now we've seen them play much more just different kind of styles and methodically just better, basically. So this is going to be one heck of a test for them as well. Where do they stand, you know, because they obviously think themselves that they should be in a grand final of this kind of a tournament. But if you look at the pick picture, G2 was probably expected to be there, but so was Na'Vi. And maybe even, you know, some could argue teams like Heroic should have been there before HellRaisers, maybe, but they've really earned it. And now it's the real deal, and see how they fare in this kind of a situation.
Thank you very much, Natu. We will be talking to all of you again shortly, but right now we are ready to welcome the players to the stage.
We want to win, and that's always the goal. So this is the first final for our lineup, so I really hope we can win it.
As he picks up the first dynamite going to go down, the aggression continues, and Dead Fox is going to line them up and knock them down. What was that?
The biggest challenge, I would say, is just to keep confidence, keep really focused on our game, playing together as a team, and just, play a smooth CS.
1 versus 2, bomb planted, ticking away, does the damage. Chris J's going to go down, he turns it into a one-on-one. Oscar's watching up the smoke, but Body is ridiculous!
They will have their home crowd, and the French fans are really loud, and they will cheer for them for sure. It will be a really tough matchup, but I think we can manage to beat them even in their home.
To win this game, I think the most important key would be confidence and being calm.
Two days ago, here in Tour, we had 8 teams, and now there are only 2 remaining. I'd like to welcome to the stage HellRaisers and G2. joined here by NBK and Stiko just before this grand final. How are you feeling about this?
We're ready playing in France, and yeah, that's the best feeling. I mean, the crowd is insane, and we're definitely ready for the final.
What's going to give you guys the edge over HellRaisers?
And you know it, the public. If we have the public behind us, we're gonna win. There's no other way.
Well, that's for sure. You definitely have that. Stiko, it must be really hard to go up against a crowd like this, but you guys, it's all about what happens in game right now. What's going to give you guys the edge over G2?
Yeah, it looks like we're gonna play against like 7 people or something, because this crowd is amazing for sure, but they are cheering for a different team. Hopefully we will remain our calmness, and our map pool should be really good on this matchup, so we'll prove our best, and let's hope for the best Counter-Strike we have ever seen here.
Yeah, amazing. I'm sure we will see that. We're going to see the veto very shortly, but first, let's shake hands and make your way back to your teams, and I'll hand it back to Parla and everyone on the desk.
Thank you, James. NBK, of course, using the advantage of the technically 7th man they have, because they have the 6th in Smith.
They also have an analyst, so 8th, technically.
This is so unfair, but that crowd, credit to them, they're also giving a bit of cheer to HellRaisers. No hard feelings whatsoever. They want to see some hard-fought competition.
Yeah, I mean, that is what it's all about. Everyone loves Counter-Strike, and of course you're going to favor your hometown heroes, but at the same time, we all want to see some great Counter-Strike.
It's actually, like, crazy. Like, Shox comes up on the screen and the crowd just go wild, and he deserves it. That guy's been putting in the work for a long time. He's been one of the star players, and now he's on a team which hopefully is the perfect fit. But like we keep saying, we're not entirely sure. If they win at this tournament though, definitely a step in the right direction. Pimp, let's, start getting closer to our predictions. How do you think that this match might play out?
I think we touched upon it. I think it's gonna be a fun match to watch, because it's 2 teams that like to play aggressively. At least they have players who does. We're gonna see Angel, and we've seen Angel in this tournament being very aggressive. We've seen him play well as well. He's been one of the great players from HellRaisers throughout the tournament, and he's gonna keep being aggressive. He's not a guy that is threatened by Kenny S or Shox or whoever he plays. Like, he's gonna do his thing, and that's always fun to watch. Same goes on for Apex. He's one of the guys, one of the true entry fraggers this game has. He just goes in. Don't think about anything. He just goes in cold-blooded and tries to kill, and having those 2 going up against each other, that's gonna create some fun and chaotic situations, and it's gonna be some close and exciting rounds we're gonna see, and that's what I'm looking most forward to.
And I think the cool game within the game has to be the op duel of DeadFox versus Kenny, because Kenny has been on point today, hasn't he? And he's really been super mobile, jumping around, hitting crazy flick shots, taking good angles and playing smart. At the same time, DeadFox, he might not be as flashy as Kenny is, but he's usually rather consistent when it comes to the things he does, and he's good at just taking angles and also being quite mobile, less aggressively so than Kenny himself. But this is going to be something that DeadFox will have to overcome for his team to have a chance, because if Kenny continues to play the way he did in the semifinals, that could be what turns the tides for G2.
Yeah, I mean, when you're in a team and you have a dedicated AWPer, maybe you can talk on this a bit. How do they think about the game in comparison to people that are more used to using rifles? What's the importance that they place on outplaying like other lone AWPers on teams? And so what would be Kenny S's and DeadFox's thoughts now going into this, thinking about each other?
I think AWPers for me are like the strikers, if you would look at football terms, the superstar strikers who kind of dictate. They make a call in the beginning of the round, be it CT or T side, if they want to make some kind of a play, and then your in-game leader kind of adjust around it, or maybe you have certain plays. If he has this, that, or that spawn, he makes a call if he wants to make that play, and then everyone just plays around him. But what that makes is it makes your life easier, because a lot of the time it may be an opportunity for your team to start off in a 5-on-4 situation, and then gives you the possibility of doing something super explosive. So that's at least what I expect from an AWPer, and I'm pretty sure most people do as well.
Yeah, there's many different type of AWPers though. Like, cause I've been playing with Freeze, for example. He's not an AWPer that takes too much space. He actually gives a lot of space to his players around him. Being a passive AWPer, where you have a guy like Kenny S, he needs to, because he's so good. He needs to take all the space he can, and he needs to dictate the game and basically control where they're going and where he's getting the peak and where he feels confident being on the map, And for example, like in this matchup, it's fun to look because Deadfox is not getting that much space. Like he's not dictating HellRaisers play. Like that's Angel.
He's more like part of the system.
He's more part of the system, you know. So he might not have the same conditions to perform well as Kenny S has, you know. So that's something to take into consideration as well when you look at those two. But in general, if you have a good op, you need to give him space and you need to like let him be a confidence player because that's what it takes for him to be good.
You gotta be smart about economy. You gotta be smart about it. A lot of teams spend way too much money in the second rounds or the third rounds. You know, leading up to the round where you have an op. You know, either you don't have an op or you're very limited when it comes to equipment and utilities. So that's one thing to consider too.
One thing about Kenny S that's worth considering is that when he can't afford an AWP, which is obviously not in the game plan of G2, you don't want him not on the AWP, but if he has to rifle, he's still darn useful. Is that something that you think we, like, well, AWPers should focus on more and making sure that if they can't buy the AWP, they should be prepared to, you know, frag as hard or at least approach the situation like that?
There needs to be different kind of plans for this kind of rounds.
Contingency plans, plan Bs and Cs.
Yes, if you don't have an op, then you kind of have to approach the rounds differently. You have to take different angles. You have to kind of potentially play much more aggressively, depending obviously on the map. You know, that makes a massive difference. How many options do you have? If it's a cobble, less so. If it's a cache, much more so. So yeah, it just comes down to then having different game plans. But you want to play to your strengths. When you have players like Kenny S, you kind of make sure that you most of the time you are on that op as much as possible.
Yeah, and there's like only few players in the world who you can afford to give an op each round. You know, Kenny S is one of them. Guardian used to be one of them. Might still is. I don't know. But there's so many op players out there. But the level of Kenny S and Guardian and Fallen, for example, is just that much better. You know, so you can afford to sacrifice like Buddy if he has the money to actually buy an op and go without armor or go with a pistol. Then you might consider that for on a team like G2. Whereas if Deadfox wants an op, but Angel has to have a pistol for that, he's not gonna do it. You know, so there's different dynamics inside the team, different conditions for the ops on each team, and different, like, you don't cater as much to the less good ops than you do to Kenny S and Guardians.
No doubt, and we will be heading to the stage very shortly to kind of like look at these players as they get ready. I'm very excited to see that and see if we can pick up any physical tells on how they are feeling or if anyone is more relaxed than others. You know, we've got some very young players in the mix here, like we've mentioned earlier through the whole show. For instance, Zero. I think he's the youngest on stage, younger than Stiko. He's like, Zero is in college or something.
If you think about it, it's like Counter-Strike, one Counter-Strike year is like two real years, so it feels like they're already veterans. Like,
yes,
they've been around not that long, but it actually feels like they've been around forever. But I mean, they played big matches, important games, you know, leading up to majors. They played majors and so forth, so I'm pretty sure they're quite comfortable. They're used to having to get used to different kind of setups, different kind of seats, table heights, you know, all that kind of stuff you need to get used to when you're a pro gamer.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, where I've never competed anywhere near this level, it doesn't occur to me that when you get to LAN, all the tables, chairs, everything's different, and you've got to like prepare yourself for the actual environment that you're in. Anyway, why don't we... Oh my God, listen to the crowd. You guys are wonderful out there. Anyway, let's get into taking a closer look at HellRaisers. All right, so they are sitting on stage left. The crowd, yep. It's your time, guys. Get loud.
Isn't that stage right, though?
Is that...
That's looking from the stage toward the crowd.
I mean, I think it's to the left. I don't know. I'm
pretty sure.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I went to school in London, all right? We didn't have stages. We didn't have any of this. It was just concrete. And anyway, we're straying away from the topic at hand, that is HellRaisers. So right now, their highest rated player is their most... you know, their veteran player, Angel.
Yeah, and rightfully so. He's been a beast. A fragging machine, plays super aggressively. You know, he has this uncanny capability of reading situations. When can I push? And the fact is that you know it yourself when you're playing against him. I know it from my past when I played against him. You know he was going to push. But then he just has some kind of an ability to read the situation correctly, time to perfection when it comes to that aggression, and it just pays dividends. He gets that 2 kills, sometimes even 3 kills, and wins a round for his team single-handedly.
Isn't there some sort of mythology, Jacob, about angels from hell, like angels falling down to hell? I think it's quite poetic that he is now, well, he's been on HellRaisers for such a long time, and he's now in some really, really top-tier form.
Yeah, I highly doubt it, but we cannot talk about Angel too much, you know, because he's going to be the key in this match, because just as much as the crowd work for G2 out there, it's going to work against them as well if HellRaisers gets a great start, you know, because 100% sure G2 are hyped up for this game. They want to win this game. They're on home turf, but if they suddenly get behind and they see a potential loss out there, that's going to play in their mind as well, you know, despite them being experienced. So, and Angel is, as we already talked about a lot of times, he's so aggressive, he's so annoying to play against, and he's gonna frustrate Kenny. He's gonna frustrate Buddy. He's gonna frustrate everyone he kills, because he's doing it in a way that is not normal in CS, I'd say.
No doubt, and that's Angel on screen right now. He is a veteran of the game. He's been on HellRaisers for quite some time. Seen many different players pass through the ranks with him. Natu, would you like to?
Yeah, and don't forget about the coach Jonta. You know, he's been
Jonta,
around for quite a while. You know, he sometimes he works as an analyst in the Russian scene.
Oh, he does.
Yes.
I remember an event where he's been on the Russian desk.
He used to play Counter-Strike himself quite a bit and has a great tactical mind. And I'm sure he's been helping this team a lot. LMBT used to actually coach these guys, but he's moved on to Mousesports now.
Indeed.
So yeah, that's something good to know about them as well.
Indeed, and their opponents, it's G2, it's the French home team, the fan favourites, Shox, Kenny S, Apex, MBK, and the hidden gem in Body. I mean, I could ask you guys, we've spoken about this stuff a lot throughout the whole tournament, but I can ask again, who are the standouts? They have 5 standout players. They have arguably 2 of the best ever, maybe 3 if we're including Apex, and then MBK, who's also a complete standout.
Yeah, it's
Natu, please go ahead.
Yeah, it's a very scary prospect if Apex really gets these things going on, because he's not been to his fullest potential, I don't think, in a lot of these games so far, but he's got some great backup from players on MBK, Body coming in, and Kenny obviously being on 4, and well, Shox has shown here and there that he can aim and shoot quite well as well. So if Apex is going to start playing up to what he's capable of as an entry fragger, things are going to get super dicey for their opponent.
It's so scary to play against a team like G2, because you know, like, you can maybe shut down Shox, or you can shut down Kenny S if Deadfox has a good match, but there's
the
still
next
gonna come.
guy in line.
Exactly.
It's like
then NBK comes up or Buddy comes up. It's like it's almost impossible to prepare yourself for that.
I know, no, Natu, I've got to jump in because I know the strategy here. You've got to create a strategy where every kill you get, it's a collateral and you take out someone else as well.
Listen, like we used to, I guess, NIP always have this joke how we have to keep Forrest on a leash, so he doesn't run away, you know, and kill us all. But first of all, he always got away at some point off the leash, and he wrecked us. And then there's, you know, the other 4 were also pretty good at the game at the time too. So it is very tough indeed against this kind of super teams. If you isolate one player, big-a-boo, there's 4 more that can destroy you.
And there we go, Body on the very end. After this, after we look at his stats on screen from the last game, we can look at the veto. The maps have been decided and we will reveal all shortly. Shout out to this crowd. You guys have been fantastic this whole event. You've waited until the very end now to be rewarded in this final. Which team will be rewarded though? Only time will tell.
I think there's a few ways this can go. I think G2 is going to take off Mirage. I mean, that's pretty given. And then comes decision time from HR. Are they going to veto Train? Because I think that's something as G2 definitely stronger on the map than HellRaisers. So I would assume that would potentially be, but that's going to be Nuke and Stan. It's a decent one because G2 they've shown form on the map previously, so I can understand it.
G2 is very scary on Nuke, so I definitely understand the thought behind it. The thing is, they leave Couple and Train open now, and those are 2 very scary maps for HellRaisers to go in against G2. It literally gives G2 option to pick the map they like the most of those 2, and I honestly didn't expect Nuke.
Cash, that's expected at this point.
That shows confidence for me from HellRaisers' side, because they know G2 is pretty good on the map as well, but they feel like we're better. We're going to pick the map. We're going to wreck you in the face in this map. Because they could have gone the road of Inferno, for example, which they've beaten G2 on online as well.
That's a very good point.
So now
especially with what happened with Tricked, right?
And then Kabul, it doesn't play to the strengths of HellRaisers. We've talked about them wanting to be that free roaming style kind of a team, and Kabul, especially City side, it's limited. It doesn't have that many opportunities. So it's definitely G2, I think, is on the driver's seat when it comes to Cobblestone.
That's surprising though.
Yeah, the ban from Inferno.
Yeah,
sorry, from HellRaisers on Inferno.
Interesting.
That's a tell that HellRaisers doesn't feel comfortable.
They must not feel comfortable at all, and so our decider map.
It lives out that Train. I didn't want that. I feel that's weird. They should have instead taken out.
Go straight into your prediction, by the way. Please go ahead.
Looking at this veto, I think G2 is going to take it for sure. I mean, it might go to 3, but G2 is going to take it.
Yeah, I have the same feeling. I think it's going to be close again, but I think it's going to be a G2 2-0.
All right, I'm going to put my head on the line and say G2 as well. They definitely do not want to lose in front of their home crowd. Now, let's hand things over to our casters, our grand final casters. It's Metas and Dust. Let's talk, guys. How are you feeling? Can you feel the energy?
Oh man, can I feel it? This crowd is nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Yeah, I think I saw a Metas fan sign out there as well, so you've got some love too.
Feels good, man. Feels good.
Feels really good.
The love doesn't just come from us to you guys. Do you know what I mean, Dust?
Indeed. It
feels a bit one way, though. Why aren't these guys complimenting us? Pim?
Yeah, I don't know. They don't like us.
over there, Paul.
You know, just one thing.
Nice hair. Just nice
Thank
turtleneck.
you,
Steve Jobs hosting
shout,
the desk
shout,
nowadays.
shout out to Jessica
mate,
and
if I
Makeup.
could, I would trade hair with you. Have you seen this mess?
Dude, you are a handsome chap, all right? And you're looking wonderful in your red shirt. Can I get you guys predictions instead of just complimenting each other on how we look?
You gotta pick G2 here on home soil. The map pool looks pretty good for them for this best of 3. I think this is finally their time to get a title under their belts. Get one going now.
Completely agree.
I have one advice. Just be careful once you hit the apex.
Oh.
Yeah, you never know.
I like that.
He has been known to make people feel certain ways
Yep.
whenever he makes plays.
Yeah, the desk was lifting a little bit with Harry, I think. Just a tad.
Well, on that bombshell, Metas, let's throw it over to you guys. It's going to be an awesome grand final.
It absolutely is. I cannot wait to get into this one. I do agree, though, Train being a decider map, does that surprise you as much as myself and the desk?
Yeah, I would have thought Overpass would have been something that would have been really cool to see. Obviously, it was up to G2 whether they wanted to go to Overpass or Train. I don't blame them for going towards Train instead of Overpass. The Inferno ban from HellRaisers, though, definitely kind of threw me a little bit for a loop, but I think everything else went pretty much the way I expected. I mean, both teams go with basically their auto ban. Both teams go with really strong picks on what was left on the table. You know, G2 picking Cobblestone, probably their second best map once Nuke was off the board. Then HellRaisers going to Cash, which is a map it's been great for them, right? I mean, it was a big part of their run at Star Ladder. We obviously saw them, you know, do really well against FaZe in the group stage there, beat North in the playoffs, use it to get that top 4 finish, and it's definitely been one of the stronger maps in their pool. But it is true that G2, their roots are in the French scene. French scenes have always been very strong on Cash. We'll say it was a bit odd to see them struggle so much to close against Mouse Sports in the semis and actually wound up losing the map, so that certainly, you know, makes you worry just a little bit, but in general, you know, this should be common ground in this first map.
Yeah, I mean, Cash is one hell of a way to start things off. Definitely a declaration that HellRaisers, they're not coming into this scared. They're coming in here with full confidence. It is their first LAN finals as a roster, and so maybe some of the pressure is off to an extent where most people would expect G2 to win this game. But of course, they're going to be coming into this all guns blazing. They're going to do their absolute best to cause the upset. And G2, I think it was Pimp that mentioned this on the desk, if things do go poorly for them, that could actually start to work against them. You know, if the crowd starts to get a bit quiet, if they start to hear the pins drop, as it were, rather than the hyper crowd that was backing them up, then I don't know if that starts to play mind games with them. We know they have a couple of emotional players, so only time's going to tell.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool to see HellRaisers make it this far. I mean, they've been making a lot of noise online. They beat this G2 team in the Star Ladder qualifiers to make that event as well as Envy, so they've had a good history against their French teams in an online setting at least, and they did well there. Obviously did well to qualify for this in Austin, but I know that DreamHack Austin event didn't really go the way that they wanted to. They were kind of disappointed with that finish, given all the other things that had been going for them, and so now this is maybe them taking that next step forward in their journey together as a team to really show that they are one of the top teams in the world and not just some type of upset team like history has always dictated about this group. And then for G2, it's about finally accomplishing what they should. I mean, all the expectations are there. I know that they were probably a bit dissatisfied with their Austin finish as well. I mean, they had a close run against Gambit in the semifinals, but they were expected to win the whole thing. And most people said it was their tournament to lose. Now they're on home soil in a very similar situation. And so, yeah, I think the pressure is on for them to finally live up to the expectations that are around them.
I mean, the term French super team has been thrown around so many times. Haven't quite lived up to that hype just yet, but when it comes to their individual players, when you look at Smiths also behind them, and analysts, they have everything that should be in place to get themselves events like this. And this is really their event to lose, I feel, especially off this veto. That's not discrediting HellRaisers at all. They've played really well this tournament. Sure. They've done solid work with sort of Dead Fox showing up earlier on Cash. Absolutely. Up until that moment, he was quite quiet. So obviously starting Cash again, if he can rinse and repeat, then hey, I mean, they could even take this map away.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to Zero. I feel like we haven't mentioned him enough on this stream because, you know, again, they mentioned on the desk, he's one of the youngest players at this tournament. He's only 18 years old. He's one of those young guys coming up from the CIS region from Slovakia, next to someone like Electronic, who's Russian, who's playing on flip side. This new class of players coming out of that region. And Zero's probably been the most consistent player on this team. He plays a lot of the more like peripheral roles in the team, so he gets put in a lot of, you know, situations where he has to make tough decisions and he has to make sure that he's on point with his game sense. He's also just quietly always putting up numbers. I mean, he may not always be part of the highlight reels with super flashy frags, but he's definitely always doing his job, putting in the grunt work and making sure that he's helping his team, you know, take rounds. And then, like you said, Dead Fox, you know, the AWP player on the team, he's definitely, you know, the new guy. He comes from the Hungarian scene. Not many players we know of in the pro scene come from that area, so he's got that on his shoulders. And then they mentioned it, Angel, you know, as the in-game leader, as a very aggressive guy, very assertive. He's going to be the one that's dictating the pace a lot of the time. And then, you know, you look through the rest of the lineup. Sticko, obviously also young in his own right, from the same country as Zero, 21 years old. He's always looked pretty sharp. He was a guy that other teams were looking at, perhaps, to try to snipe from HellRaisers before he re-signed his contract with this team. So obviously, people are aware of his presence and what he can bring to the table. And Bondix, obviously, a guy who's been around for quite a while, right? So there's very recognizable faces on this team, young and old, and this is a team that's finally taking those next steps, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. But we do have a little bit of delays. You probably noticed the HellRaisers players all stood up around their desks trying to sort a couple things out. So we have a couple more minutes to fill here. So let's move through to Cash then. Let's talk this specifically, as this is our first map in the best of 3. It looks like HellRaisers are going to be starting on the T side. What do you expect to see from on the T side, Dust? I know you troll through so many demos. You have a very good understanding as the strategic play from both these teams. What can we look out for?
I mean, I think with HellRaisers, you have a very balanced playbook. They can play a lot of different styles of CS, and I think that's a credit to the fact that from what Sticko has said is that the coaching that they've had, you know, when it was L and BT before, kind of teaching them the basics of how to play a default, how to set up roles, and then now a guy like Jonta, excuse me, who's come in and he's really helped them learn like a different way to play, to maybe, you know, let their individuals be playmakers, to loosen things up a bit, to be a bit more aggressive, to kind of play to the roots of guys like Angel who like to be very explosive. And so you're going to see, you know, they're very capable of just playing default, playing mid-control, but they have some very explosive executes that are really fine-tuned. They're really crisp. They're usually on the same page, so as long as they don't get rattled by the pressure, you're going to see them play, you know, a full spectrum of CS. They're going to be able to change the pace and keep G2 guessing on where it's coming from and how fast it's going to happen.
Well, you can see there that the Twitch chat has had their say 71% to G2. Now, we both predicted G2 to win. Do you think that's fair odds? I mean, I feel like HellRaisers deserve a little bit more chance than that.
You know, I think that it does make sense. I mean, it's G2 on home soil. You know, yeah, they had a really slow start to this event. You know, losing a trick on Inferno, that was ridiculous, to be quite honest, that it even came to that for them. But ever since that moment, they've got back in gear. You know, the only real struggle they had was closing games, you know, particularly that Mousesports Cash game. Since we're talking about Cash, that certainly was a bit disappointing. They didn't 2-0 that series in the semifinals, but they took care of business on Cobblestone, and then they made it here to the grand final. And yeah, I mean, when you look at this team on paper, you do wonder why they aren't just winning everything, aren't, you know, at least consistently making deep runs in playoffs. Sure, their Starlighter performance was pretty good, but outside of that, you're kind of wondering when they're finally going to take those steps to be what people expect them to be, which is a consistent top 5 team in the world. They haven't quite shown that yet. This is their chance to finally get a title under their belt against a quality team in HellRaisers, and then maybe from this point forward start proving who they are.
So you touched there about, you know, top teams in the world. Where do you think HellRaisers come down? I think they're a team that haven't quite proven themselves either. Obviously, their first LAN finals right now. Are they a contender for top 10, do you think?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I don't see why they wouldn't be. I mean, I think that their Starlighter performance was absolutely brilliant with the top 4. I think the online form's getting there as well. You know, even I think the Austin thing kind of rattled them a little bit, but they've made a final here as well. So I think you definitely have to make that argument that they're at least somewhere towards the bottom of the top 10, you know, at the very least, definitely at least top 15 team in the world. And they're doing it consistently. They're not just this upset team in best of ones that, you know, maybe you have to worry about kind of knocking you off in the group stage or something. They're a team that now is capable of making playoffs, even at times capable of making deep runs. They won a big best of 3 against North. I mean, that's quality stuff there. So yeah, I think they are certainly one of those teams that are fighting to kind of show that they are one of the more elite teams in our scene.
And Sticko is one of those players that had a bit of a rough time earlier, but he is such a powerful player. Like, he really can just show up and absolutely clean house. The fact they won while he was having a little bit of an off performance also, I think, bodes pretty well for HellRaisers. Obviously, we're focusing fairly heavily on HellRaisers, so we're still trying to fill a little bit more time before this awesome grand finale gets underway. Let's switch to G2 one, Captain.
Yeah, sure.
Let's discuss their tactics, what you're expecting to see on the CT side first. Is there anything that steps out to you?
I mean, obviously, they're classically known to just be a very aggressive, very explosive team. A lot of, 1-4 type stuff with Shox lurking one side of the map, the rest grouped up and attacking. But this is one of those maps where Shox, while he's known to be a squeaky door player, he will just break off of that, and he will just create plays if he feels that it's necessary. He's one of those guys that is just so versatile, part of a very small group of players who really can almost do it all. Shox is probably the most versatile player in the game when you consider the in-game leading aspect. So it's a map that he's really comfortable on. He can definitely wreak havoc. You always have to worry about that threat of the double op setup on both sides of the map from this G2 team, particularly on Cash. It is a map where it can be a bit more viable than others. So you got to be out for that. And I also think that for G2, while most of their play looks quite simple on the surface, I think this particular map, from what I've seen, they do have some really complex executes and fakes that they can throw in if they feel it's necessary. I've actually seen some really cool fakes from them on the B-bomb site in a couple of their games. So I don't know if they'll ever have to go to that, if they'll just be able to play simple, and that'll be fine. That'll be all they need. But I think they do have a couple of pages they can turn if need be to get rounds on the T side.
So it's hard to really iron out a single player to watch out for on G2, but on Cash, anyone in particular that you want to shine a light on?
Yeah, I want to shine a light on Apex, actually, because he's one of the few players that is able to solo rifle middle on CT side, which is a very difficult thing to do, but Apex really excels at it, and he's obviously their entry fragger on T sides as well, right? He's going to be opening up things across the map. So, outside of Shox, who I've already kind of highlighted quite a lot, and Kenny S's op is always going to be something that action's built around. But yeah, Apex has a lot of responsibility, particularly on CT side, that is one of the most difficult CT positions to play, and he actually does quite well. So I will throw a little bit of highlight over to Mr. Apex.
All right, so we have the huddle. We've been informed that we're starting very shortly, guys. Just before, though, let's undone HellRaisers. You already mentioned Zero. Is he your player to watch out for here on Cash, or would you go with someone else?
Yeah, I mean, I like Zero quite a lot. He's their B lurker. He's also really important on their CT sides on the same area of the map. So he's definitely a guy, like I said, who's going to consistently be that workhorse for your team. He's kind of your rock. He's the guy that you can rely on, and then everything else, just has to fold into place. And then that's the guy that you can expect will always perform. It's just about whether or not someone like Sticko, who can be really big, he's kind of the other aggressive rifler next to Angel on this map. Or is he going to have a game like in the semifinals where he only dropped 3 frags, right? In that sense, it didn't matter because you had Dead Fox dropping almost 30 kills in the map, and so they wound up getting past Misfits no problem anyway. But that can't happen here against G2. Like, Sticko is going to have to be a big player in all of this.
Completely agreed. They can't rely on Dead Fox to carry that hard, because G2 will punish you. They absolutely will. And again, Dead Fox hasn't necessarily been a player that has been consistently hitting those highs. He's been very absent throughout this event. I'm very happy he did show up in Cash, because otherwise I think it would have been quite a disappointing one for him. But now he has another opportunity to just take over. We already saw an individual performance and a half from Shazam earlier with the AWP. Maybe this is Dead Fox's time to shine.
Yeah, it's actually interesting because both of these oppers are very B-heavy on the CT side, which you don't see that as often, like just oppers who really just play inside the B-bomb site like a good 80 to 70 to 80% of the time. So that they're kind of similar in that, right? And we may also see them take duels against each other if both of them decide to go B at the same time, because obviously you're going to move your AWP player around on T side. So it'll be cool to see if we see some head-to-head B-lobby plays that may kick off rounds. Otherwise, they're probably not going to run to each other too much. If the T-Oppers, playing boosted or he's playing into the A site, you're not maybe going to see a lot of, op versus op battles. So it's going to rely a lot on the riflers to be able to break through the AWP at B or to find room somewhere else on the map.
All right, so we are still filling for a little while longer, Dust. We have been the fill master so far, so well played on that one. So let's move on to on the flip side then, when we actually have the HellRaisers on CT side as opposed to their T side. Is there anything that's going to shine for you on that one?
Yeah, we already talked about, Dead Fox being really B-heavy with the AWP, so he's going to be their primary player to be defending that side of the map. But it's also about the aggression, right? You know, both of these teams really are teams that are going to take fights. They're going to push you squeaky door. They're going to push you A main. They're going to play up close on middle, particularly the HellRaisers side. Angel and Sticko love playing these aggressive forward positions on middle, and so that means that you're going to see contests. If one team wants to get aggressive for mid control and try to go for that early, we're going to see some early round clashes, which means we're going to see a lot of fireworks. We're going to see a lot of action, and thankfully, I think we're about to go ahead and get into it right now as I see all the good luck, have funs going off in chat. The live has happened. We're 5 seconds away from getting this grand final started.
All right, ladies and gents, let's get hype. We're about to start the grand finals between G2 and HellRaisers. It's been a while in the making, but here we go. HellRaisers, as mentioned previously, starting on the T side, and it's Dead Fox with a smoke and Molotov, and already pushing towards this A side of the map, Dust.
Yeah, it's a retake ace set up here from G2, which is Apex spotting it. Maybe he pops off a couple, but he's really just looking to buy time for the retake to set in. The smoke obviously is going to block him. He's trying to spam through, see what he can find. Does a little bit of chip damage to Angel, but the important thing is he stayed alive. He also does have the kit for his team, so that means that will help them in this retake, have that extra bit of time to try to work it out.
It is going to be a 10-player retake as G2 maneuver their way in. It's Apex with the kit, and as Smokey just throwing that out over onto the site, try and take some of that vision away from HellRaisers. And well, it's not just vision, it's the life that Angel's lost. Angel is going to be put down alongside Dead Fox and Bondic, and already they're tapping onto the site. It's going to be a clean sweep for G2 as they push straight back on and get the defuse, and will claim the first blood in this best of 3.
Yeah, again, just playing that retake A setup is very common to do on CT sides because it can get very dangerous when those pistols are closing the distance on that A side of the map, and they had that kit, so that gave them extra time to just kind of work it out as a team, rotate together. Some really nice shots here from Shox, no surprise there. Quite a versatile player, and the pistol certainly can be powerful from him, so they will go ahead and get the edge. But off the back of that bomb play, look at HellRaisers already double AKing up. This is very aggressive economically.
Bomb plant and some kills. Gonna go straight in. Is this going to catch G2 off guard? They are playing aggressively. Apex through onto main. Going to use that smoke, a slight gap at the end so we can see the footsteps. Or the feet, I should say, and hear the footsteps as they maneuver their way in. Stick already, plenty of mid-control. Decides Betterovic going to join the rest of his team as they embark onto the B side of the map. And have a look at this, though. Angel's managed to get himself all the way around the back of Heaven and lands the shot onto Body, who must be wondering what the hell just happened to him. And now Shox, who originally was hiding in checkers, is going to be forced out into the open as the bomb's going to get planted momentarily. He's going to come through for 1 kill. Any more from here would be massive. Not going to happen. Angel, the master flanker, puts 2 players down and now gives HellRaisers a real chance at clutching this out. Considering there's no nades and no kits for G2, they even go for this. Yes, they will. And Apex loses his life as a result. And I don't think that Kenny S or MBK have any interest any longer.
Yeah, again, just a very aggressive buy by HellRaisers to go ahead and get 2 AKs in the second round. It's definitely very uncommon. You see the sacrifices on Dead Fox and Bondic armor-wise to get those AKs over. It's almost just like a super explosive form of the raid boss, right? Where you get an upgraded pistol to someone with armor. This time, we're gonna get 2 AKs to guys on armor and make a big play. Angel, obviously a big catalyst for that. Getting that flank in on Heaven really helped break open that B-bomb site. Completely blindsided Body here, who's just holding the headshot angle. Has no idea this is happening. Now Shox is isolated inside checkers. He gets cleared out, and then everything just comes crumbling down. So a very risky play there from HellRaisers, but it pays dividends now as they have G2 up against the ropes when it comes to their own cast. They will buy up what they can, so we're gonna see a scrappy start to this game.
Oh, NBK had a lights-out performance yesterday himself, was one of the better players of any team. Looking for a second, gets it. Angel will be bitterly disappointed he didn't take out MBK. It took him a few bites before he got himself through on that kill. Are we gonna see the seesaw come back the way of G2 now?
Definitely possible. He's put that Deeg to work. MBK having a very good tournament and a very good start to this round, trying to see if he can get G2 back into this right away. Did have Zero get that 1 pick on the other side of the map, so they do at least have something working in their favor, but low HP on Zero. They have plenty of utility to go for full executing There is one player kind of alone, but there is one highway, and one's beginning to cheat over as well here from G2, so they'll be in decent position to contest this execute. As we see HellRaisers coming down to the last 40 seconds of the round, and it seems like they're fairly committed to attacking here and now.
kennyS is going to have his work cut out for him with the FAMAS, one of the only 2 rifles they possess. Being flashed out of position, but the terrorists themselves are being wrecked by their own flashes. Now Kenny up on the boost is going to get himself 2 kills. It may not be good enough, but now it's just Zero, who's gone in for 1. 2 more to find and kill with minimal time left, and Body comes through for the final frag. Just when he thought HellRaisers were going to break the economy of G2, they bounce back.
Yeah, indeed they do. MBK, of course, really the driving force of this with these Deegs in middle, but you also have to give props to kennyS just playing an atypical spot, just at an angle you're not expecting as you swing through, and he'll line up a couple of his own. But HellRaisers, they will not concede. They're gonna buy right back up in their own right. Again, they'll have the double AKs in play. Push coming here from B though. G2 want to fight now. They push through for an opening pick and they begin to fade back. They're not going to overextend. They'll take their advantage and begin to rotate. But it's a heavy push. But Kenny, look at him handling it.
2 kills already, looking for a 3rd. He's not going to get the no-scope. And down he falls. The bomb in the hands of the terrorists. It may be able to snake its way through onto the site, but MBK has them on the cross. From the forklift, looking for his 2nd. And Dead Fox living up to his name. G2 only losing kennyS. They will be able to pick up his AWP. 3-1.
Yeah, you cannot undersell how much work kennyS did. It's a B push. He's basically by himself at A. He's getting pushed by heavy numbers squeaky door, which is rare on rounds where there's guns involved, yet somehow he's able to pop off 2 from quad. That's actually very difficult, and that really helped out G2, as it is now up 3-1, and now finally HellRaisers has to tap out a bit here and just go on Glocks. Only Zero has gotten any purchase in here, and it's just the P250. Definitely a fair gun for $300, but there's not a whole lot HellRaisers are gonna be able to do in a round like this one.
Even a bomb plant would be a godsend at this point for HellRaisers. Still back towards the T-spawn side of Garage. And G2 not moving an inch, no reason for them. Got the squeaky open, all the angles covered, and they're not gonna allow any shenanigans through mid again. They've learned that lesson the hard way from Angel. And really, at this point, G2 are playing this one solidly. They're not giving anything up. They're just sitting in position. They're using the weapons to where they're strongest, and that's at range. No need to go aggressive.
MBK in his position, the one that is named after him. He actually switched to B for a while because Body was playing over there with Shock. So getting back to home, at least in this round, as we do see HellRaisers finally making the decision to gather up here. But this should be basically a mop-up for G2 at this point, with just Glocks involved.
Ooh, Kenny. As soon as that door opens, you're expecting some bloodshed. And he will live up to that with 2 kills. It's going to be an eco. But it is a clear-cut anti-eco round. MBK on 1 health, doesn't care. It's 4-1.
Yeah, so G2 starting to grab control of this first half, but we will see HellRaisers finally able to make probably one of the best buys they've had all game, considering some of the dice rolls they took early on. Little bit lacking for utility, and obviously no AWP involved, but still at least full rifles and armor. So we will see how they want to approach this, maybe slowing things down. This is basically their true default, but we're going to see kennyS looking to get aggressive. He knows Bondic likes to play this door slowly, so he knows he has a little bit of time to just kind of chill out and wait for the opportunity to present itself.
A bit more aggressive this time around. Kenny's going to use his smoke to get into the boost alongside NBK. Nice work. It is a position you can't overuse, though, especially against HellRaisers.
It's also scary to do it the way that they did, because if Bondic heard that, that really just kind of gives you a lot of extra information when you do go for the A execute. And if they do come up highway, that's the one angle that's very dangerous to a player that's boosted up in the A-bomb site. And you do see HellRaisers getting a player boosted up here, and they could put some focus on that. So that's why I see a lot of people do the run boost early in the round. They try to avoid any noise cues to get that spot away. So we'll see if it factors into this round, as we are starting to get towards the late round, and we do see HellRaisers pushing up mid. There's no presence A anymore, though, so this may be more of a mid-B split at this point, as Angel will be the one to look to take first action here as he's trying to come up highway.
Yeah, you called it before, highway can be the counter to the boost, but Kenny S is watching it eagle-eyed, the sniper extraordinaire once again picking up the first kill for G2, alleviating some of the pressure. 20 seconds left, and HellRaisers don't even have that much information for their troubles. Body is getting burnt to a crisp, down to 22, forced out into the open, will cost him his life for now. Let's have a look at Shox. What can he get done? It's not even him that's required as Apex comes through with a quick-fire double, and that is going to secure the round. There's not enough time for HellRaisers to clutch this one out. G2 strike again.
Yeah, and you just see HellRaisers dropping down a couple of gears, going down to a slower pace again. They're going to change the pace through this half. That methodical approach, though, they just can't break all the way through B. And as you noted, the clock was kind of their worst enemy at that point, thanks to a big play from Apex. He was the main disruption to all of that. As now G2 up 5-1, and HellRaisers back onto a bit of a broken buy here, getting what they can. Obviously, DeadFox did save that AK. They will buy around it a bit with Deagles, but no real commitment here. As Shox is taking it out to B, so something quite different. As that WWP set up that we know G2 for is already out and about, and Shox has first blood.
A solid pick at that. No retort, no retaliation was forthcoming by HellRaisers, and to make matters worse, their one AK has been tacked down. That's going to be 0, and he's on 18 health. Now, Bondik probably is the favorite to take this AK as he has Kevlar. He currently has a Tech 9 and he's just chilling outside of A main, making sure no quick rotations and flanks are going to be imminent. Still a minute to play with. HellRaisers have only a flash in their back pocket.
I think a bit of a curveball thrown at HellRaisers in this round. Not expecting Shox to be the one pushing B with an AWP. Apex, again, solo rifling middle, able to pick up one. Kenny S coming right back in to trade him out. He'll find even more, as now it's just Bondik. Bomb down in an obviously awful position. He does get an AK, but against 4, and with the bomb down the way it is, there's not much he can hope for, and in fact, he'll find nothing. And BK puts him down at 6-1. G2 off to a hot start.
HellRaisers must be feeling a little bit stunned at this stage. Their choice of map, remember, they picked Cash, they felt confident. And they did very nearly break the economy of G2 early doors after they picked up the pistol, and then HellRaisers came straight back with a force buy of 2 AKs. But since then, it's been all the way of the French.
Indeed it has. They're already just suffocating HellRaisers by pushing into A main and denying so much space that you would want in your default. To lose this much ground definitely hurts, but they're gonna go heavy squeaky door again. HellRaisers is one of the few teams that will do this on gun rounds. So they might bypass all of this, but not if they're losing numbers like that. That puts them at a huge disadvantage. And Kenny S able just to turn around and make things happen.
Again, 3 kills for Kenny. Preemptively going for the AWP through the smoke. If that had landed, the roof would have came off this place. But it doesn't matter because G2 are laying HellRaisers to rest once again. And HellRaisers have had no retort at all to this double AWP setup. They can't hang with it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they tried to avoid the A main pressure by just coming out and flooding door, but the fact that there's nothing stopping Kenny S from just being able to turn around, there's no pressure he has to worry about. He's got a teammate with him, so he can just focus all his efforts onto the cross, into the site, and he absolutely delivers. Again, he is on point. He's had a great tournament already, definitely one of the MVP candidates for this event. And what can HellRaisers do to respond? Looks like they want to shift the pace maybe once more. This time with a focus towards B, but without an ideal buy to do it. Just the Tech 9s and that 1 UMP.
Yeah, this just isn't too far off the buy that saw them get their only round. But now there's 2 AWPs to come up against, and Shox on the back of the site. It's raining down Havoc. Body with a double AK spray. Make it a triple. HellRaisers back to the drawing board. I wonder at what stage they call a timeout and just try and chill things out a little bit.
Yeah, they haven't really had too many full buys in this game, to be quite honest. This is the first round that DeadFox will have an AWP, so I feel like they've constantly had their backs up against the wall in regards to what they've had to work with in these rounds, and I think that's maybe playing in their heads as well. This, though, is their best opportunity to really construct a well-crafted round. They have everything that they could really want. As they will slow things down into a default to maybe give Dead Fox a chance to see what he can find. In the meantime, again, it's Shox looking to get aggressive over here towards Sunroom with his AWP. Kenny S boosted up on top of the side. Again, this is a very rare angle to deal with if you're Dead Fox slow peeking in, so that certainly could play into things.
You were here last time with the FAMAS, where he picked up 2 massive kills. This time it's the AWP. Shox playing aggro, throwing in the Molotov. It's not going to deter Zero that can just hop up onto the ledge, and he's A-okay. But again, they're sacrificing a lot of time, and Zero is going to get the kill onto Shox. That's a pretty big pick, one of the best opportunities they've had. But in doing so, they've lost a lot of health in Garage, and Sticko so close to falling down. You can see there, Angel partially coming in for that frag, and now he's going to go and try and make amends with 2 of his own, but it won't be happening. Apex shuts him down before he can get rolling. It's a 3-on-3, and HellRaisers still haven't really made inroads to either side. But they're certainly thinking about B. They're starting to apply the pressure. Body is there, and Apex isn't too far away. Bondic now going to be coming in as the nades and the Molotovs force Body out of position once more. He doesn't care too much, though. He's still going to land the spray. And in the meanwhile, it's Apex again, who's just hiding in the smoke, biding his time and waiting. And just on time, he shows up. Zero falls alongside HellRaisers. 9-1 start on Cash.
It started so well for HellRaisers because Zero actually had a great play on the Shox. You know, Shox thought for sure that Sunrun was clear after he threw that incendiary and no one moved. So Zero played that well to get the pick. But then it's just the response from G2, particularly Apex, moving all across the map. And yeah, G2 are just dominating the half at this point. HellRaisers are running out of rounds to get something going here.
It was Zico that said that his team don't rage at each other. They don't really have issues when it comes to tilting. These are the kind of times when that's going to be tried and tested. When you're being battered this hard. Again, I think that timeout probably just around the corner if HellRaisers continue to lose.
Yeah, you would certainly think so. I'm surprised it didn't happen after that round to kind of talk things through. But again, they'll just kind of slow it down. Play it a bit more default. Bondic coming into door as he usually would, setting up. So we do see them beginning to group up in A main as well. So it looks like they may just do some type of wrap on the A bomb site. Seems to be the way people are shifting. As Zero has even fallen off of B to go inside in mid garage. So yeah, it's definitely looks like they want to do some type of mid A split. They already actually have Angel pushed up the highway box, so they have a lot of space to work with.
Angel already in position, but they can't flush Kenny S out of his spot on A. So he's always going to be watching highway when they pull back like this. Apex is on the highway box to start things off. But as soon as he pulls back, Kenny S maneuvers. Already a player pushing out to the side. That's going to be Bondic. And it's going to be 2 kills coming in for the HellRaisers. Make that a 3rd. Apex falls on Forklift. And it's Body and Shox who has that second AWP. And 20 seconds to try and fend off the plant. They're not going to be able to do that. Zero's already on default. And he will secure the bomb plant. Now G2, who are split up, are going to be conquered by Sticko. Body, 1-on-3. The hidden gem, as you coined him earlier. Well, let's see if he can prove to be just that with this massive clutch. He has a kit and he has a flash. The position has now been compromised as he goes for the spray and misses out. And Sticko will get HellRaisers a 2nd round. Better late than never.
Yeah, nothing special there. Just basically a typical A execute. Definitely helped out that Angel was able to cause a bit of a distraction, getting up highway for free. Didn't actually find any kills, but help open things up. And just good efficient trading from HellRaisers to break through quad, you know, limit MBK to just 1 kill and make sure that they were able to seal things down. So that is the 2nd point on the board, as you mentioned. And now they have a nice buy here, full utility. AWP back in Dead Fox's hands to work with. G2 do rebuy up the double AWP.
Shox wasn't far off in that attempt. I think Sticko's coming through the garage. Nearly lost his life in the process. It seems that HellRaisers, I mean, both their rounds have came off the back of mid-control.
Yep.
And so they're going for it once again. And no huge surprise, it's Angel who is first in. Now, typically, this is where Kenny S has been lurking, but he's actually looking through onto A main side instead.
Apex is playing mid very passively here, not from highway as you'd expect him to usually. He's playing from CTs, make sure they can't push through. Angel did do that on the 2nd round, so it's just Body having the responsibility of watching highway from side. He's done well to get the 1st kill. Good counter nades being put in here as well, slowing things down. But now here comes HellRaisers looking to slice through. Great entry by Bondic to kick things off.
Preemptively going for NBK spot. Nathan's not home on this time of asking, but Body on quad gets forced out of position. Apex gonna try and make amends for his fallen comrades, but he will very much meet the same fates. NBK up on the cart, does spot a couple players crossing, but can't connect the dots. And it will be another bomb plant onto A. Ooh, NBK runs out of bullets. That would have certainly been a dead Sticko. Goes back in for seconds, does Dead Fox, but that's gonna cost him his life. And with Shocks prowling over on this squeaky side, there's maybe a bit of hope. Now that his teammate has gone down, his tag team partner is no longer with us. This makes it so much more difficult for Shocks, and, well, there you go. A perfect crossfire was established, and HellRaisers pick up a second consecutive round.
Just having a lot better luck trading their way into the A-bomb site, and again, mid-control really helping as well, pushing Apex back, not giving him space, opening up highway for them to use as part of the attack. Bondic being the big player here out of door, though, really helped push things through for HellRaisers, and so now they're finally showing us a little bit of life here towards the end of this first half. Just 3 rounds left to play. They've won the last 2 in a row, so they're finally starting to limit G2's money a bit, who keep buying these AAWPs. But look at Apex doing so much damage to that smoke to Sticko already. Just free damage, basically. As once again, HellRaisers are looking to control middle fast. This time, though, NBK and Apex are looking to contest it directly.
Yeah, I like that G2 have changed their strategical play around as a result of this heavy mid-presence. Now 2 players strong. Although Apex has been smoked out, it's going to be NBK who comes through with 2, and Bondic's been put in his place from Kenny S, who goes in for a second. Mid-control firmly established. G2 will not be losing out the same way this time around. And it's going to take some kind of godly play by Zero if HellRaisers is going to pick up a 4th.
Yeah, NBK was done letting them have middle there. Great to get that double kill from Highway Box, and yeah, Zero won't even have a crack at that one. Shocks there to greet him with the AWP. And so now it's 10-3. Great mid-hold from G2. And now HellRaisers have to go back to the drawing board here.
Here's a play from NBK with his 2 kills. So important, so impactful. Question is, HellRaisers now on a very low buy, just a deagle and a couple of nades really with a P250. So they just go all in on a rush. It's looking like they're gonna start congregating around the A site with Sticko on Garage. But this should be a formality for G2.
You would think so, right? I mean, it's just 3 Glocks with that 1 deagle, 1 P250. There's a flash and a smoke to help them get in. And again, pistols close to distance on quad can be difficult for Kenny S, but he's not gonna miss.
So intelligent to narrow the angle. He knew a player went to his left-hand side, making sure it's not far to flick either left or right. I love that play. It seems so basic, but to have the clarity of mind in that moment, so well done. And now G2, odds-on favorite to not just win this round, but keep all their weapons alive. Zero's deagle's not going to be successful. At least they have the bomb dust. I mean, that's like one of the only saving graces they could ask for at this stage.
Yeah, trying to get in, though, is going to be so difficult. That's going to some nasty 1Ds here, but Body is not going to allow that to happen. Posted up with the AK, pushing through both headshots. That's another round of the back for G2, up 11-3. They are storming through this first map of the grand final.
As a result of that eco, we are going to see a purchase in the last round. Interesting enough, Angel's gone for the timeout here in the last round.
A little late.
Yeah, I was thinking the same way. I mean, this is a tactical, so no technical issues. Shows the importance of, though, getting a 4th round. You know, it gives you a bit more of a foundation to build off if you win that second pistol.
Yeah, one of the problems that HellRaisers run into is the fact they had to commit so many resources to getting mid-control due to how well NBK and Apex have played it, that it's kind of alleviated pressure off of Kenny S. It's freed him up to not have to worry about A main so much and be able to counter their highway push. Even if NBK goes down and Kenny S is there to follow up with the AWP, how many times have we seen Kenny S be able to just op people down highway? So that's definitely been one of the problem areas for HellRaisers. It's also just they haven't really been able to answer G2 when they've gone aggressive. When we've seen A main pushes, they haven't handled it very well. When we've seen G2 want to play middle and not play it passively, they've won those fights as well. So there really hasn't just been much going for HellRaisers. I mean, I know they have a couple of executes they can run towards either site with heavy utility that they have in their playbook, but I don't know if they're going to have the money for it. It is going to be the big thing. So people are going to have to make some sacrifices on maybe firepower to make sure they can get all the nades they want. Now, they do have a couple of fakes in there. I mean, I know Apex is actually rotating pretty fast in these rounds, so maybe they could try to throw some type of fake if they realize, hey, Apex plays middle. We're seeing them be really fast whenever we put pressure there, so maybe they can try to think about doing that. But obviously, they're only going to have one more crack at this to get a T round in this half.
Using every second of their allocated tactical timeout to rummage together some kind of a master plan. HellRaisers have a full purchase, including a UMP and a Galil. They do have an AWP on Dead Fox and a couple AKs on Angel and Bondic, so it's a fairly solid purchase across the board. Again, though, these double AWPs have been a real pain in the backside. Their Achilles heel, not been able to deal with this at all. And HellRaisers not really a team that you expect to see too many double AWP setups come from, even if they do have enough funds.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to buy everything that they basically can at this point. You do see Sticko taking a UMP to make sure that he can get a full set of nades. Same with Zero, really. He'll take a little bit cheaper gun in the Galil to make sure he can get a couple of flashes in the smoke as well. And so they'll have one last hurrah at this T side to see if they can fit one more round in before switching sides. As they will once again just open up fairly default here, about as basic as it gets for HellRaisers. So not really giving us any kind of tell on what they've talked about just yet. As again, Apex soloing with the rifle in middle. One of the few that can do this effectively. And he's definitely done it this half, hasn't he?
Oh, definitely. G2 have looked in fine form. HellRaisers just not really been given a chance. Spread across the map to start things off. Now they're starting to move together as a cohesive unit. Angel looking like he may be going in first. Kenny S has been here a number of times already. That smoke is going to force him into a standing position if he wants to see over the smoke. But eventually that is going to dissipate, and then Kenny's back into such a huge advantage. Second smoke will make him think twice, and now he's really leaning on NBK to watch the squeaky door as he's going to pick up the first kill. Nearly a second, but the bomb's also been dropped out into the open. Kenny S on another tear, but Apex, the unsung hero of this A-hold, with a quick 2K of his own. Zero picks up the AWP from Dead Fox's corpse, and he's going to land the first one, but no more. 12-3 half for G2 in a commanding lead in this first map.
Again, it's just Apex being able to just drift all across the map and find really key kills to shut down HellRaisers. It's happened multiple times. It's happened on retakes as well. He's been a huge difference maker in this half for G2. Also, props to Kenny S. He's been constantly punishing them from that boosted position. They've never really caught on to it. He used it several times to great effect, and now G2 have a fairly overwhelming lead at this point. 12-3. I mean, if you lose pistol, you're basically out of this game if you're HellRaisers. And again, it was their map pick. This is one they were confident on, and fair enough. We talked about how this has been a good map for them. It's a big part of their run at Starlighter where they got that, you know, top 4 finish. It's one of the maps that they've really been able to go to ever since they kind of let off the pedal on Cobblestone, which is kind of like the original map I feel like was powerful for them. So, you know, this is the map that they thought they had their best chance. We did see G2 struggle to close against Mouse, but there's been no struggle from G2 in the opening of this game as they'll switch sides. And again, basically a pistol round victory away from, you know, all but putting the final nails in HellRaiser's coffin.
Well, you brought up Cobblestone. That's going to be our next map. It's not going to get any easier for HellRaisers. G2, I mean, historically, a lot of these players have been solid on this for the longest time. Well, let's see. As you highlighted, Dust, it's pretty much pistol or bust for HellRaisers. They need this one desperately. Angel's going to go have a quick peek into A main. He's the player that maybe they're going to rest on to pull out some kind of a massive rescue. Dead Fox again with utility, a couple flashes and a kit.
Yeah, polar opposite approach here from HellRaisers on the pistol. We obviously saw G2 playing a retake A setup. This time they're putting 2 players there, and they're getting aggressive. They're looking for early information. As we do see G2 just holding a pattern right now. One is push door. They are starting to look into A main, so we could see a bit of a skirmish here if Angel keeps holding this angle. And he could really make or break this round depending on if he wins this duel or not.
Elsewhere on the map, Sticko has claimed the first blood on this half. Angel about to be swarmed by terrorists, and it shocks. That domes him with the Glock. Straight through onto the site. KennyS gonna get the plant. Retake coming in for HellRaisers. In the first half, he had a retake with 10 players, which was successful for G2. Well, let's see if HellRaisers can bring this with 8 players remaining, 4 apiece. Bondik already low. A bullet will pretty much end his life, and Shox is going to go very much the same way. MBK with a deagle, chilling out in A main, has already landed 1. And they can't afford to push him too hard because they're not sure where the other players are on quad. But now that MBK's gone down, that opens the floodgates, and Zero gets 3 kills in about a second. Unreal retake from him. And HellRaisers have done it just in the nick of time.
Yeah, I mean, if you blinked, you would have missed that. Zero just absolutely pops off. That looked like G2 may have sealed it up. They were playing the round very well, really exploiting the way that Angel was playing the A-bomb site to get in there. But Zero just really makes a big play for his team. So props to him. He's kind of saved the day for now, at least in this map, at least giving his team a chance to try to see if they can creep back into this one. Obviously still, though, a very long road to travel.
Even in slow motion, that looked rapid by Zero. Excellent play. G2, of course, they're going right back in with a purchase. It's only Shox that's landed a kill. And this is one way that HellRaisers can claw their way back into it. If they can consistently keep G2 down. Apex, Tech9 with the bomb. He's going to be moving the same way that all his team have died on, and he's going to follow the same path. 12-5. HellRaisers will be up against an eco.
Yeah, so they've taken those first steps. You know, they've avoided any type of reset early in the half. They should be well on their way to the 3-0 start. You know, halving the lead that G2 had against them whenever we switched sides. So these are some good initial signs, but again, we're still a long way off of seeing whether or not HellRaisers can play their way back into what has been a very dominant map so far from G2. As they will just be on a Deagle and a P250, a few Glocks, nothing really to speak of. Already taking a massive amount of damage from that nade on the boosted box.
Well, that is going to leave a mark. Shox already down to 14. MBK, who was boosting, he's being the good guy. The teammate gets a nade on the head as well. Still, though, when there is a Deagle in the hands of Shox, you can't take this round lightly. Another nade goes through. Over on boost. This time they've moved out of position. It's not going to do any damage. And now it's G2's turn on the T side to play it slow and just hope that HellRaisers make a misstep and give them a gateway into this round. And HellRaisers seemingly shutting that door in the face. Sticko and Zero both with their UMPs are doing a ton of damage, and Zero's going to whip out the Tech9 to use it against the oncoming terrorists. MBK jumps up, gets knocked down by the MP9 in midair. HellRaisers, another round to them, a 6th on the board.
But here comes the real test. G2 going to be able to get their full buy-in. Again, I'm really hoping we'll get to see some early round clashes at middle, particularly since Angel and Sticko like to play up front there. We know that G2 can go for the faster mid control. So we might see some, you know, Apex butting heads with Angel, for instance, over here in middle. As what does G2 want to go to on their first T round? Looks like they're just going as default as it gets for them. Shox at home and door. MBK playing outside over here towards B. With Apex, actually.
It's going to be a counter boost. Angel up. Bondik down. KennyS will get traded out. But it is a solid pick. Angel just making sure that there's no more terrorists that are primed in position to go for an A main hit. He has taken damage, now he's on the wrong side of the wall. He could get picked off here, and indeed he will. It's Apex that reigns in with the AK. It feels like a bit of a needless death though there, Dust. They got the 1-for-1 trade.
It's like he was trying to grab a gun and just got caught out because Apex swung around truck. So at that point he felt like, oh, I just got to push and fight. Now I'm stuck here. Does not work out. Now in a 3-on-3, Body trying to clear out the vents will get the job done. Shox as well, finding a pick on the A side of the map, and so the defense of HellRaisers has absolutely fallen apart. And so this bomb will be able to make it into A uncontested, and now Zero has so much against him here. He's in a 1v3, he does have a kit, he does have time, but this is a lot to ask of the man.
Well, in terms of their funds, Bondik's currently on 2.6k, so although Zero's on 10,000 and can easily replenish this weapon, you're in a 1-on-3, your chances of clutching not looking too high. It looks like he is going to go for a cheeky peek and see what he can get done. But chances somewhere between slim and nothing. Flashed out of position, going to move in for the save, but he is being wrapped around from the flank and tagged up from behind as well. That nade is looking like it could have landed on the feet of Shox, but a little bit too shallow in the end, and Shox will put HellRaisers in their place. 13-6, we will have another buy though from the CTs.
Yeah, of course, the story of the first half was the fact that HellRaisers could never really handle G2's aggression on the CT side or the double op setup for that matter. We know that HellRaisers also on their CT side like to get assertive, particularly a player like Angel, but G2 handling it very well on that round. So that will put them a bit more forward as we do have HellRaisers, like you said, with that money stored up, still able to buy this round. But if G2 can take this one, now all of a sudden HellRaisers in a really shaky place when it comes to money going forward. They'll just have to force buy what they can, basically, and it'll be very low buy. So this is really their best chance to get back into this map. It has to happen here, and they have to streak together rounds in a row, and they need to do it clean. So there's a lot they have to accomplish to make it easy on themselves on this comeback effort.
Now goes Dicko. And man, HellRaisers need to employ someone to just stand behind Zero and massage his back, because it must be killing him. 17 kills to 0, nearest player on his team's on 8. By far and away leading the charge. And G2 having no chill as they put down players over and over again. With Dicko's death, this leaves a gaping hole on the A defense, but they are gonna have a wraparound from Carr. In the meanwhile, Angel's going up for the boost, but MBK, he's read the script. He's a couple pages ahead of HellRaisers, and that gives him a 2-player advantage as they just charge straight through to the site. Apex with another one. I make that an extra.
The gloves are off for Apex right now this game. He has been fantastic on both sides of the map now. And yeah, just good read by MBK. I mean, realizing that's the luxury that having a man advantage gives you, is that you can be a bit more cautious on some of your players to make sure that you're not getting flanked, to make sure everything's going to go according to plan. And that was the one way back in that HellRaisers had, and it gets shut down. And so Zero, again, just left trying to save a gun. Obviously, G2 will chase after this. They know the money is tight for HellRaisers going forward. So they want to make sure they take everything out of their hands as much as they can, as Zero has a lot to save here, but can he hold on is the question.
He's about to get pushed by 2 players on his right-hand side. There's a first frag. That's going to keep the weapon alive. Solid work. Looking at the funds, Zero can drop 1. Sticko's on 5K. Bondic and Angel both on 3K. So they are going to go for a purchase. It's going to include some UMPs. And as a result of this save, Dead Fox is afforded an AWP. And instead of going for a second UMP, they go for the FAMAS. So HellRaisers have a decent enough buy all off the back of that save.
Apex has that rep when he's in form. His first bullet accuracy can be so sick, and that's what you saw there that round. This time his body's showing it off as he's just plowing through middle on a solo effort. Angel does stuff him a bit, but there's Apex again following it up. And again, they're going to get a lot of presence towards this A side. Only one player here. He's so isolated. He's stuck at forklift. He's got no rotation en route, and Apex continues to put bullets between people's eyes.
Zero and Sticko pretty much going to stack together and hold the phone for a second, because G2, if they move into this, they could be walking into an ambush. Sticko is going to give that away with the kill, but he'll take that frag, and MBK will return fire with 2 of his own. Zero not on point this time. 15-6, 9 map points. HellRaisers with a mountain to climb.
Yeah, it's just one of those nightmare situations for HellRaisers where everything is clicking for G2. G2's playing really well as a team. They're playing off each other. Even just that one maneuver in checkers where you have the vent pressure coming in to give MBK a chance to slide it and take him out. Just setting up little baits like that. It's been huge stuff, and now it's all come down to this. And Body, is he really going to do it again? No, he's not, but it doesn't matter because they're still finding all these entries all across the map.
Well, the beginning of the end for Cash. HellRaisers' choice of map. Eyeing up the cobblestone, which is up next. Shox putting them 1 step closer. And now Angel and a UMP to save the map for HellRaisers. Moving into position, he's been caught from the backside. And Shox trying his best to dance his way out of trouble, but Angel's not able to get it done. G2 will claim the first map in this best of 3. And it was quite the effort. HellRaisers never looked in it.
No, it was just another day in the office for G2. It looked like they had no problems. Yeah, there was a little bit of a scrappy start to that, where they were kind of trading rounds at the very beginning, particularly that HellRaisers 2 AK buy in the second round that let them break through. Angel getting that flank through CT spawn that got him around early to start playing back into it right away. But there was just a certain point where G2 grabbed the reins of that game. They never let go. Their CT style was on point. They were able to run the double AWP. They were able to be aggressive. HellRaisers never able to get responses to that on a consistent basis. And then when you swap sides, again, it was G2 handling HellRaisers' aggression just fine. They never really got caught out by it. There was never really much going for HellRaisers at all. G2 didn't really have to turn very many pages in the playbook. They just played basic defaults, won their picks all across the map. What can you do if you're HellRaisers at that point? There's really nothing there for them.
Well, I completely agree with that assessment, but let's head over to the desk and see what the analysts have to say. Take it away, Paolo.
Thanks, guys, for that. G2, dare I say, looking like the G2 they might well be in the near future. They still have to win at least one more map, though. They have to get 2 to take this best of 3. It's pretty difficult to analyze maps like this that are so one-sided. Jacob, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, this was just the Kenny S show. Like we talked about Kenny S before the game, and he is an insane AWPer, and he did what Kenny S does this game. Like, he was aggressive, he was passive, he was always taking 1 or 2 down, or 1 or 2 kills when they hit a side. And when you play against a Kenny S in this form, it's so hard to do anything. Like, he really didn't give HellRaisers a chance to enter a bomb site. It was not like we saw a lot of close rounds. There were so many one-sided rounds, and it was mainly down to Kenny S and Apex just locking down the sides and messing with HellRaisers.
There's a couple of things you could highlight. One is that after HellRaisers won the second round of the half, they could have been taking the driver's seat, and we could have potentially seen a bit of a different first half, but unfortunately they lost the round after that. And I think also Apex needs to get some praise, because we saw before the finals that he's definitely not been up there in his top potential, but in this game he was doing a phenomenal job on both sides, actually, being a rotation, going through smoke, timing it perfectly when his teammates were in trouble. For example, in B bombs, that Buddy was on the side, he was getting pressured, he died, then Shox was on all the further back on the site. I think they got like 1 kill on between Buddy and Shox, but then Apex coming in through the smoke, helping his teammates getting the kills as they were initiating to the bomb side was the big kills to win that round. So yeah, overall, very one-sided affair, obviously, but there's again, we saw a really, really aggressive G2 as well, taking a lot of initiative, and like Jacob was saying, a big part of it was Kenny just maneuvering around the map and taking a lot of the early picks and keeping the mad advantage in the side of G2.
We have about a minute left before we have to head to a break. What was missing on the side of HellRaisers to finish us off, Pimp?
A counterpart to Kenny S. Like, Deadfox has had the worst stats of this game, and that can be against the Kenny S who's showing up this big. So Deadfox needs to step it on Cobble. I think we saw him play Cobble earlier today, and he was doing well. So there's still potential there, and yeah, I'm looking forward to Cobble now. Yeah,
he definitely got out up there by Kenny, 100%. That was a little game inside the game that I was talking about, and Kenny 1-0 right now, 100%. Cobble, again, I don't think it's definitely not the better maps for HR, just because of stylistically it doesn't really fit them that well. On the other hand, if the guys from G2 keep on playing as they have, I think this will be a handily 2-0 for them.
Thank you very much, guys, for that. Summing things up very, very nicely. Will we see a resurgence from the HellRaisers? They'll have to do it if they want to take this to a third map and have a chance of winning. However, if it goes in favor of G2, they will be our champions. Do not go anywhere. We'll see you after a very short break.